Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Today, I want to talk about the problem with real money purchases in Star Citizen. We had a Star Citizen Live this week where this topic has been brought up a couple times, and we've actually talked about it on Answer the Call a little bit with insurance and some other things, but subscriber items, subscriber flare, concierge items, any sort of skins, weapons, armor that you've purchased on the website for real money in Star Citizen 315 is lootable and you lose it permanently. Now, in Star Citizen 315, because there's no insurance, there's no mechanisms in the game. All we have is looting. We don't have anything else at the moment, right? What they want to do is, well, actually, I'm going to play a clip for you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, we played the clip on the live stream beforehand. So Richard Tyrer on Star Citizen Live about some of the discussions they may have been having on the subject of real money purchases and how to recover them if you lost them. Okay, so now that that video is played, as well as the, I guess, not retraction, but a little addition, some further clarification from Rich Tyrer on Spectrum. There is, I guess a little bit more clarification with the in-game shop, which had been discussed previously. But I think the big thing to note from that clip is they do not want to dupe items. He made that clear that is an issue. And that has been always my issue about purchasing an item on the website, that item having value in the game because it's only purchasable on the website, losing it to your friend, or losing it, period, doing an insurance claim, and having that item reappear, and now you have two of those items. And then it gets exponentially worse as the time of the game goes on. So the idea of just insurance where you get that item back, I don't think is a solution. I have a lot of these items, okay? I bought these items because of their rarity possibilities, or I was just a subscriber, whatever, I got some of them, right? The idea of players being upset because of losing their items that they paid for, I believe is justified. Somewhat. You shouldn't be bringing items to a place where they could be lost. I think these people just don't have the foresight at this time where the game will be going, how the game works now versus how it should work in the future, so on and so forth. Right now, we're in the Stanton system. The Stanton system is not the most secure system in the Star Citizen universe at all. So the idea of most of the places that you go being unsafe and unfit to be bringing a gold suit of armor somewhere and somebody not getting excited looking at that and say, I want that, and killing you for it. Space is also, in many space games, and definitely in the Star Citizen universe, a bit of a Wild West. So the idea of nothing being safe almost anywhere is kind of part of the allure of the space sim aspect of it, right? From other sci-fi universes, and specifically this one as well. So I want to talk with members of the Star Citizen community today to try and come up with a solution that might make sense. I understand that people are going to be upset that they might lose their items. They paid for them. You know, they earned them. You know, for me, the Vandal Mask, if I lost that, I'd be super upset. But I'm not going to risk those items to be lost. I'm going to leave them in my hangar, and you know, some people feel items should be used that you get. Sometimes I feel like certain items should just be displayed, right? Artwork, things like that. Like, that's what these items tend to be like in MMOs for myself. So that's kind of my feelings on it. My solution is something maybe akin to what Rich said, but maybe a little bit different. Escape from Tarkov has a really good insurance model where you insure these things. If those items aren't looted after a period of time, they're returned to you. Okay, right? So if your body just falls out in the void and is, you know, you couldn't recover it, you have to go to work, whatever, you'll be able to get that stuff back. If somebody loots it, I don't know. I've heard of other games that do things where, like, paid for items will gradually lose durability, and then if you're not, if you've never paid for that item, then you can't replenish its durability. Like things like that. I've heard of solutions like that. That could be one, but that doesn't seem that real. So there's like a lot of weird immersion things that go away. But what I hope out of this discussion, and anybody who's watching and anybody who partakes, is if you're upset that you're going to lose an item, I don't feel that you're necessarily a casual or like maybe you're a little entitled. Okay, a little bit, definitely. But I don't think you should be frowned upon for feeling that way. And I don't think anyone should feel frowned upon or be frowned upon for feeling that the game should be a bit of a Wild West. And if you lose your items, you lose them. So, but there's got to be a good middle ground where if you paid for something, you should be able to keep it. But if you pay for something, it shouldn't be that good, right? It should be more cosmetic than anything. So if it's just cosmetic, there's some definite and obvious solutions around there. So that's what I think. Now, let's hear what everybody else thinks. Let's bring our first caller in. Sorry, I'm a little off here. Michael Krokenoff. So Michael, can you hear me? How you doing?
How are you, mate?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been busy with real life, so I haven't been able to catch up on the stream recently, but
yeah,
back in action.
Awesome. So what do you think about this stuff? It's a subject. I like your icon, by the way. It's perfect.
Perfect for this discussion?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So as far as most people who've seen me on a couple of videos before know that I'm from Australia. Because CIG sells items in Australia, under our consumer protection laws are extremely strict. Okay. So if they cannot turn around and say, if you lose this item in game, you don't have access to it anymore, because that's just going to open them up to a lawsuit. The reason we have Steam refunds now is because our protection laws are very severe on these companies.
Uh-huh.
So they can't go down the route of you lose it for good. There has to be a way for it to be returned to the player.
Is his solution originally on SCL possibly in breach of that law, even if there is a possibility that you can get it back? I mean, I know you're probably not a lawyer, but...
No, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I can't really make a judgment call for it. But as long as you can get the item back, then they'll be protected from that law effectively. As long as you have some way to recoup the item.
Yeah.
So as far as like doing the Tarkov insurance, that won't work because it's not... With Tarkov, they're not unique items. So you can always just go out to the shop and just buy it again. Whereas this is real money items that are meant to be completely unique in the game.
Yep.
So you can't just go out and buy it from a standard seller.
Now let me stop you there real quick before we move on. It is my understanding, and I'll kind of lean over and look at Twitch chat a little bit here on this one, is subscriber items, even subscriber items and any real money items that you purchased, should also be available for purchase for in-game credits at some point by the time that there is a release. That is my understanding around these things. Every subscriber flare, every, I don't know, maybe even concierge items, things like that, those should all be available to purchase in-game at some point. That is my understanding, but I don't know for sure. Maybe they'll be exorbitantly expensive in-game. Maybe they'll require reputation, but they are purchasable not for real money. Yeah. But I may be wrong there. That's my understanding. I will maybe reach out for some clarification to like Jake or Xylo or somebody else on that subject, but it is my understanding that that was said in the past. But the past in Star Citizen sometimes is just the past, and they've changed their mind, whatever, right? So it's hard to say.
Yeah, and some of these items and the sub flare and all that is sold to people, I think, on the basis of that it will be unique to Concierge or subscribers, and that has been implied by CIG before. So they've put themselves in this pit, and they've got to figure out how to dig themselves out.
Sure, but the second they're lootable, they're not unique to those people anymore, right? So I think that's part of the outrage.
Yeah, so there needs to be some way to account lock the items. So yes, they need to be lootable because you need to, these items need to go out into the verse. And if we do get item durability, which will happen, it could just become a way of, if it, once it leaves, it eventually, as you said, goes out and destroys itself, or it's a case of their skins only. And then, once the armor's looted, it loses that skin, it turns back into what it was originally.
Sure.
Because it should be a cosmetic item only. It shouldn't be a give anyone an in-game advantage.
Okay.
Is sort of how I feel about it. So I think going the skin route probably is the easiest thing to do. So like your Vandal mask, you could apply that as a skin to any helmet you're wearing. But then that's also an issue of...
it's not very immersive or realistic.
Exactly. And then you also got the issue of, if they're wearing heavy armor, you can't tell what kind of armor someone's wearing.
Very true.
If they've got a Vandal mask skin over the top of it. And all that whole dynamic choices thing they're trying to go with.
I mean, the solution there is you can only apply Vandal mask to a medium helmet or something, whatever it is, light. But it just, for me, that's not super immersive, and that's a little bit weird. I think the most important thing though is again, what I said earlier is losing items in the game it has to be part of the game, but I do understand where people are coming from here. Where, hey, I purchased this thing not really knowing that this was going to happen. I wanted these subscriber things, not knowing that this was that I was going to be at risk in a way. Now, Stewie posted the pledge FAQ in Twitch chat. I think we're going to take a quick look at that here. It's going to pop over your icon for a second. So it says a pledge is your way of showing support to the RSI development projects in Star Citizen Squadron 42. You can back the game. Pledges include game packages, standalone ships, ship upgrades, subscriptions, and more. How can I see these items? I see there's insurance, starting money, and other. What are these? Be done with the pledge. Nothing that says you will permanently have these things and you will never lose them, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Will be attributed to your account inventory and apply those options. Finding starter options will be attributed to the game when the game has finished development and is made live to help you begin your journey. These items vary on dependent. Yeah, it says nothing about whether or not you'll lose them, or but it doesn't say that you'll keep them forever either. All right. So yeah, the flare was listed there. Yeah, flare is highlighted right here. So subscriber flare is part of that pledge for 100% certainty. All right, now let's bring your icon back.
As far as that whole statement around the pledging, unfortunately, that doesn't float with Australian consumer law, because because that whole pledge system is considered a service for us. So they must, it has to be fit for purpose, and it has to give the result intended. So if the result is you are given that item, that result must stay in effect at all times. So they can't. So that's how our consumer protection works. They're very strict with it over here. So it has to be, safe, lasting, with no faults is one of the big main statements that we have.
Okay.
So that they can't. I understand what they've tried to do with the whole pledge thing, and it will get away with some laws in certain countries, but in Australia, New Zealand, unfortunately, it just doesn't work here. Yeah. So it's just a really, really bad situation for them to be in.
So I think we're just going to need to ban all Australian and New Zealand players, and then we won't really have any issues anymore. So you guys play in your own servers with your own rules, and we'll play with the hardcore
just do something
rules.
different for everything else.
Yeah. But no, I just think okay, you're
It's a hard
coming from
one.
that perspective, but what's your opinion?
I think these items need to be used and they need to be out in the verse.
Okay.
Otherwise, what's the point of the items in the first place? So there needs to be some kind of guarantee for players that if I wear this stuff to make myself look unique and cool and what have you, um, you just go out there. As far as Alpha 315, if you lose your subflare items, just do an account
Who
reset.
cares?
It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. You'll get it back.
Yeah.
But when we're in the full game, if you're in your position where you decide, hey, I'm just going to wear my Vandal mask out and about, and a criminal decides to come in and kill you and take your Vandal mask, that means it's potentially gone forever. There needs to be some way to anything that's in your hangar. There needs to be some way to recoup that item, but those items need to be make people want to use them in the game.
Yeah. But like for me and how I use those items in the game is I display them. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily
of
wear
course.
them as I may not be the display, but my hanger might be the display.
Yeah, that's that's the way I want to do it as well. I'll probably just put most of them in my hangar or in say a ship of some kind, like a Kraken or something, as an example. For display purposes, if I don't expect that ship to ever be blown up. But so that's the way I look at it. So that's why when they say we're going to give you guns and shirts and all this other stuff as part of subflare, I don't like that kind of stuff. I'd rather they give us more the original hanger flare kind of thing. So we got the music box, the vending machine, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of subflare I
They're
want.
cool, but they don't have specific use cases in the game.
Exactly.
Or they do, but they don't have use cases in combat or places where you could be killed. But then what's the point of you like the I think the biggest issue here with this is they're still on this idea of if you're at a landing zone that somebody could pull out a gun and kill you. But by the time they did, the NPCs would react in time. Well, you haven't proven that you're capable of doing that yet, so I don't believe you, is basically my mentality around that. So, I don't know, man. It's tough.
And it's also the issue of duping items. So there needs to be some kind of way of account locking these kinds of things so that because I'm like subscribed till like 2025 or something because I was just floating so much credits. I just bought it for the 100% the discount coupons. So I'm gonna have by the time this game comes out, I'm gonna have a crap ton of subflare in my account.
Okay.
So there needs to be I totally lost because me as a player, if there's a way for me to buy these items, then I can just go, oh no, I lost the item, reclaim it, and then have like someone grab it or sell that item that I air quote drop, and then reclaim it for myself, and then sell it again, and then use that to make credits, and then use that to buy ships, and then that's just a downward spiral that we don't want to go down. So there needs to be some kind of way, which is why I think the skin route probably is the best thing to do because it's account locked, but it prevents item duping as well. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's a one way. I don't like that way personally, but I do see the it might be the best solution to a problem that CIG created.
Yeah.
But that's like looking at WoW with store mounts, and
Yeah.
that's not great either, right? Like these people flying around in these awesome store mounts that you can only buy if you have a good job or a credit card. That's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
So,
but there'll be unique items for subscribers and concierge for those people who do invest the money into the project and they do get stuff out of that. And that's one side of it that we're not going to get into too deeply because that's just a big rabbit hole. But there will also be unique items for rep. So say you're really high up with Crusader and I'm really high up with Hurston. I'm 100%, but because I'm 100% with Hurston, I can't do that with Crusader. I've got a unique item that only I can have with Hurston Dynamics, and you can have a unique item you can only have with Crusader. It's the kind of like the similar situation that there will be unique items in game that you can only have depending on your reputation. So
Yeah, but those will be lootable. And because you didn't pay for them,
everyone.
Yeah, they'd be available to everyone. What's the difference here besides these like consumer protection laws? Now, somebody in chat, Morir the Chosen, who's I think been on the podcast before, said the Aussie consumer protection law, it makes clear the differences between digital goods and digital services. And it doesn't say that the goods must always be available. And he said he can provide a source, but I'm not really, I don't care that much where we have to get like the legal sources. So maybe there could possibly be a difference, Mike, but
yeah,
who knows for 100% certainty. I feel like CIG is pretty good with their lawyering where they wouldn't do this if they weren't sure they could.
Yeah, so if you're
that might be why they're
discussing
services, the store.
Yeah, so as far as his comment, so digital services include anything that is downloaded from, you don't have a physical copy, so that's Steam games, music, anything like that. One of the big reasons that Blizzard had to give out refunds for Warcraft 3 refunded was Australian consumer laws came into effect because they refused refunds, and that was also the case with Fallout 76. Those are digital products,
but those are the game. Those are games, so those are services.
Yeah, but they're also it is still considered it is a digital product, and it falls anything that's sold as a digital product can fall under those laws as well.
So a WoW mount too. If you don't like it, you should be able to refund it. Okay.
Yes. So. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing where we would like have to get a lawyer in to be like 100% sure. But that's one part of the discussion. I more care about your opinion rather than.
Yeah, of course. And my opinion is the items need to get out there and get used. If you lose them, there needs to be a way for them to get out into the verse. Either they eventually don't become unique anymore to subscribers and concierge, which I'm totally fine with because you know what, I made those pledges and all the rest of it to get the game out the door, not to get unique items. It's cool that I have a unique item, but they should eventually be available to everyone either through looting me or they just become a sale. And they could just be, rather than being everyone gets access to them all of a sudden, they could do events where, the special concierge gold armor, you have to go and spend 20 million credits with this certain store and they give you the armor, as a reward for that month. There's ways they can do it. I don't believe... I don't think they should lock it to just subscribers and concierge backers.
Absolutely not. I don't agree with that at all, and I am a person who pretty much has all of the items, just because being a content creator and things like that, showing those items off has value to your stream, just to show people what's available and things like that, right? So that's kind of the reason why I have those things, not because I necessarily... want them or anything. It's more for the stream, but in general I feel that you could buy it on the website. Like the whole argument, and we're gonna get into a little bit of a rabbit hole and we'll probably go to the next caller just in just a little bit, Mike, but I do want to talk about this a little bit, is the whole idea behind pledging was and the rewards that you got for pledging and why they weren't pay to win was because this is pay for convenience. Hey, this is for Johnny Two Jobs over here that doesn't have enough time to play the game, so we're going to give him a little kick in the pants and get him started. That's kind of the point of all this. Well, if that's the case, Timmy Zero Jobs, that all he's doing is playing in the game with his fucking 6 joysticks and pedals and buttons to press and lights, gamer lights, like Timmy should be still able to earn the things that Johnny Two Jobs has.
Exactly.
Even though Johnny Two Jobs paid for them. So that's kind of the thing here, is both people should be rewarded, but they're being rewarded in different ways. I don't give a shit if Johnny Two Jobs buys ship skins or armor on the website, but as long as little Timmy gets to earn it in game by being like the best player or something. So that's or like through reputation or whatever, they play the game, they earn it. Johnny doesn't have time to play the game, so he pays for it. There's no unique item to one sector. The unique items should only come through playing the game. reputation, rewards, so on. You know, that's how I feel. But I'll give you the floor for the next couple of minutes or so. Just I had to get that out there.
No, that's all right. I pretty much 100% agree with you. I'll get the link as far as how it applied to the services for Twitch chat later.
Okay.
And I'll send it to you if you need it for later.
Link it. Yeah, I'll put it in the YouTube description.
Yeah, and but yeah, as far as I 100% agree. There needs to be ways for people to get access to them. It shouldn't be restricted to just Concierge and subscribers. That's why I think Hanger Flare is the best thing they can give to subscribers, because Hanger Flare items, anyone will be able to buy them. So it's just, I want to see these items used and out in the verse. I don't want them all to be gathering dust on people, because it's the same thing as like if you lose a high rep item, you know, and you've potentially lost that rep because you moved to another system, and then you lose that item. You know, you're gonna have to go all the way back there to regrind the rep. So there needs to be some kind of system for it. There needs to be some kind of system in game, either lock it behind some kind of rep or make it like a monthly event. There just needs to be a way to earn it in game. 100% agree with that. And then if you lose it, as with all account items, there should be a way for you to get it back. And if that's through those monthly events or through a special shop, but if it's through a special shop, there needs to be a way for it to be account locked where you can't just give it out to people. So.
Okay. Yeah, because that would be problematic as well.
Yeah, because then we're just going into the duping thing again.
Exactly. Well, all right, Mike. I guess we'll leave it there. Thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you again.
No worries. Have a good one.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, and then we got Stewie. Stewie Meister's next. Stewie's been on the Answer the Call podcast himself as a guest where we talked about Star Marine, so you guys can check that out. I noticed the On the Line thing was up here. I just turned that off as well. And let me get Stewie's name in here properly now. All right.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Stewie. So, what are your thoughts on the subject? We've talked a lot. I don't think I really need to preface anything for you. Just go ahead.
I've always thought that subscriber items are a huge problem.
Yeah.
Even though I subscribe to them, and I'm a huge.
I have the problem as well.
And I have recently cancelled my subscriptions through SIG, and they made it extremely difficult.
Interesting.
I thought that Game Pass was much better. Because, and I'll tell you why, I cancelled it because they lived up to what they said, which was, as far as I can see, the items are still accessible in-game. Even if I don't pay for them, I can still get them. I can kill someone that has one, or if it stays in the game for live release, they're in the boxes, right?
Yeah.
So
they did say that wasn't intentional, though. The boxes thing.
I think they said that there were some things that weren't intentional. I think what they mentioned was that I thought they used an example of things in Evocati where you had a Squadron 42 items. I don't think he specified sub items were not meant to be in there.
Let me reach out and clarify, and maybe I'll get an answer by the time the podcast is over.
Yeah, because as far as I understand it, sub items are still completely fine to find. But that's my understanding anyway, as it isn't. When it comes to my understanding of sub-items in general, when I first pledged for them, I understood that eventually, because they always say that eventually in-game, all of these things will be findable. Like, you can always keep them, even if you don't pay for them. And that's, again, without trying to dive back onto a topic which I don't think any of us are qualified enough to understand, which is like the lore surrounding it. As long as these items are findable in-game, then there's no special requirement that requires them to be purchased. And I think that they did make a huge mistake by making some sub-items weapons, but at the end of the day, like, pledges are the same as a sub-item, right?
But they're skins of weapons that are already earnable in game. To be fair, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there are some helmets. Like, you can get a level 4 Caldera helmet, whatever it is, with a spiky head.
The armor's the worst.
As long as the armor doesn't have a statistic which is greater than what you can get in game, then I don't think it matters. I do think that subscriber gear should only stay cosmetic. But I think as my idea for a resolution, and I wrote some notes because chat was actually quite good this time. It had some great things to say, which is rare. But you could turn them all into skins, which I think is perfectly acceptable. I would be fine with that. I understand that some people wouldn't be. But I think the best solution is just to have like a quarterly or every 6 months, just give everyone who's a subscriber their stuff back in their hangar. Just be like, okay, it's come to 5 months and 29 days. Tomorrow you'll get your stuff back. So if they choose to not lose it, then great. They very steadily build up a very understandable collection of weapons, which they can't argue with because, you know, everyone is the same. Everyone understands that principle. I think this idea of giving subscribers this exclusive location where they can go to and buy their stuff back is a little bit silly. It kind of reminds me of like those weird MMO games where if you don't pay the certain higher, like, I don't know, like World of Warships, right? If you don't pay the certain higher level of things, you can't get access to that ship on the right-hand side of the lane. But only those people that subscribe can. And I don't agree with that. I think it's just best to have it either as an understanding that everyone who pays money gets their stuff back eventually.
Yeah, especially if you look at armor right now, armor is so not unique in terms of its usefulness to like differentiate between each other, right? Heavy armor has the exact same qualities as every other heavy armor, and medium and light have all, right? I don't think we believe that that is how the game will be long term. So then when you do look at something like the subscriber helmets, you know, the Mandalorian looking one or the whatever, right? The Halloween one with the googly eye, however you want to look at it. Some of the items that you get may have unique properties to them as well, and those unique properties may fall into a meta at some point or something, and then it does possibly become a pay-to-win issue. So not having those type of items available to everyone is problematic. But I don't think you would disagree with me that earning items that are extremely valuable in terms of their usefulness or rarity in-game that's not an issue because those are available to everyone as long as they earn them, right?
I've got absolutely no problem with anything being accessible as long as there's a way to get it without paying real money. And I don't know how SIG's intending to make money when they release the game, if they ever release the game. But I don't think that subscriptions through items is one of their ideas. I don't think it's ever been an idea of theirs. No.
Here's the thing, and I mentioned this before the podcast, is I saw Rich get a lot of hate, and anybody who comes up with a solution to this problem does not deserve any hate in their direction. So Mike, myself, Kilgore, Stewie, Kalis, Henrik, those are all the people that are going to be on today's show, do not deserve any sort of hate in their direction because it is nobody's fault but CIG's that we're in this predicament, okay? The only people that deserve, nobody deserves any hate, but any sort of criticism is the people who decided that it would be a good idea to sell useful items in the game for subscriptions or on the website or spaceships, right? These are things that they created this problem for themselves, and it is not our problem and to fix it. And I also think the people who are trying to fix it have been backed into a corner where they can't possibly please everyone. Because the player who kills somebody is going to want to, you know, loot a unique item as well, you know? Like, the idea of killing somebody with subscriber flare, that's a big win for the other player, the killer.
Yeah.
In that case, right? And
this brings me on to another point I made, a little note I wrote. So when I mentioned like ships earlier, ships and subscriber items, if you really look at it, are no different. It's just that a ship is a bigger item that everyone understands has insurance that you'll eventually get it back regardless somehow.
Yes.
Right?
And even then, I think there's some duping issues with the larger ships like a Javelin or an Idris, right?
Yeah. And I could see them easily doing insurance for items like subscriber gear. But at that point, I'm like, if you insure subscriber gear, why don't you insure non-subscriber gear as well? Can you? Do you think they'll insure non-subscriber gear so everyone can get their guns back if they just die? And then at what point does that just ruin the whole point of death being meaningful because everything's just insured at that point?
Exactly. And that's the dilemma here. What is it? Like these are the moments where you stop and think and you're like, is this a scam? Because the like seriously, and I'm not like trying to be funny or anything like that, because the the plan, there doesn't appear to be one at times.
No, I agree.
Right? So there at times, because they don't communicate the plan very well, they keep saying it's in Chris's head. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Well, it needs to get out of his head and be shared with everybody who spent thousands of dollars on his plan, but that's a whole nother story.
Why should have been a sitcom?
Yeah, we should have heard it at sitcom, I guess. But the idea of that it's just all over the place. Nobody knows what Star Citizen is, so it's hard to tell what to do, right? So it's a weird thing. Where is Space Tarkov? Is it not? What is space dangerous? Are certain areas not going to be it's all very loose and not easy to comprehend.
There are lots of things I don't like at the moment with 315, but focusing on the subscriber stuff, I think that the developers get scared of committing to ideas because of the backlash they face from the community, though. So with subscriber gear, if they said, oh yeah, so if you lose, so if he said on that live stream the other day, yeah, when you die, you lose it, suck it up, everyone would just be furious. You'd have thousands of people that, no offense, are entitled. Yeah, this is the way I used to think as well. I used to think to myself, if I bought this, I own it. But I don't anymore because I understand that is boring.
Yeah.
I want to actually have risks to going out into the verse because at the moment it's boring just going, okay, I'm just going to, I used to get poisoned or, overdosed next to my hangar retrieval, but I just Alt F4 the game and the guy wouldn't get my stuff. I've just ruined it for him. It's not my fault it's like that. But it would be the same thing if they just don't commit. If they don't commit to you being able to lose your items, then I see that being worse than people being upset about not being able to get them back.
Yeah, and I think you make the best point where, if we're going to insure these items, or are we going to insure everything? And then where's the game? What is the game? And I think that's the dilemma that they're finding themselves with. And I would imagine, here's the thing where I'm going to take this, is I feel the people who are concierge and the people who are subscribers and get the number of people that have these items, if we ever have a Star Citizen release product in a game, they're going to be in the minority of the players, the smallest player group. So we can't really base the way the game plays out on those people. You can't do that.
Yeah.
But I also get where Mike's coming from possible legal implications, and then
definitely
also the idea of, hey man, I did pay real money for this thing. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the items that you have paid real money for? Should there be a solution for you to get them back, or do you not care? I don't know if I care or not. I don't think I'll ever put them at risk. Is kind of how I'll play it.
Well, as you know, for clarity, I've put a lot of money into the game, stupidly or not, a couple grand's worth. And I don't put any more in. I've stopped subscribing to them now because now that I realize you can get most of the stuff now, I don't need to. I stopped pledging for ships because I can just mount my hangar to buy new ships. At this moment in time, I play the game now for the game, which is probably why I've not played it a lot. But to me, if I paid for something, as long as my understanding at the time of buying it is, I guess, what matters. And I understand that when I buy a ship, I will always have access to it. Subscriber gear, as far as I understand it, I only have access to it now because we get a cycle. But the game's always been the same. If I died with I paid £90 for that blue custodian, right?
Yeah.
You got it Sitcon and the Demon Fang. A lot of people got that for free just by being around at the time. I had to pay money for it because I couldn't get it. So if I got more upset every time I was killed holding that gun because it was £90 I'd lose.
Yeah.
But I'd know I'd get it back because it would be a certain, there'd be 20, a year later when the next patch drops, I'd actually get it back. Or in the case of the Demon Fang, I don't at all and I still haven't. But I live with the understanding that that's not intentional. So I just want to know what their intention. If their intention is, once you lose it, you lose it. You lose yours. But if you can get it back, then I'm going to be fine with it. If you couldn't get these exclusive items in game at all, so once you'd lost it, then I'd say, yeah, we'd have to get it back because I paid money for it. So I'm not being mean. I just think that they have to be completely strict and steadfast on what they think is the right direction, not this wishy-washy, oh, you might be able to buy it back, but we don't know when, or you might get it back in another cycle. Because does that then mean I can't get it back in game, or can I go find one for my friend?
feel like
promo.
the biggest problem here
has been.
is that before you sell the items, you should have these ideas in place of how they'll play out in the game. But that has been the Star Citizen in a nutshell. Sell first, we'll come up with a solution later. Sell. And the problem now is we may have a situation where because people subscribed or people spent over $1,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, $25,000, whatever it is on Star Citizen, that will now impact the way everybody plays the game.
Yeah,
that's
and I understand
scary.
those people that bought it.
Me too, but I don't think that they should have the ability to dictate what's fun and what isn't.
No,
or dictate the way the
I
game should
bad.
play out because they spent money. And I am one of those people. But I think, like you said, it needs to be clear, you know?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm entitled to anything more than anyone else just because I paid more in the game. I feel like I have an advantage in terms of what ships I have, but it's the same with ships, right? I can't fly a Javelin or an Idris or a Kraken that I own without friends to fly with. So the gear, at the end of the day, doesn't give me any other advantage because if you can find it in game, great. But other than just having it to begin with, I don't think the game is engineered where having a gun, unlike Tarkov, which is an example that you used earlier, having a gun in Tarkov or having your gun insured is a different reason because you need a gun in Tarkov to survive. You can't go into a raid without a gun. You'll just get clapped. Like that's just the way it is. But in Star Citizen, there's loads of other avenues that mean having heavy armor and having a gun isn't actually important to you playing the game in the slightest. You can have loads of fun without even putting armor on. You could have loads of fun without even using a gun. It's just nice to have. And nice to haves aren't essential or important. They shouldn't be dictating how the game is designed.
Yeah. I mean, there are hatchet runners in Tarkov.
Oh, yeah, but they get clapped. And they get punished by the game developers now, don't they? Like, there's an actual... They don't want that to be a design, so they design around that.
Exactly. And here, it seems to be potentially the opposite. We don't want you to lose your stuff, you know? And it's just like...
Exactly. They're catering to people that paid money because they're afraid of the outcome and the aftermath. I just think... This is why I said I think Chris needs to be more... Like his letter years ago when he wrote to us about how we should all shut up about Squadron 42. Everyone's calm now. Everyone's over it. They should be the same with the actual development of the game. Just tell everyone to just calm their tits. And you paid money for a gun. You got shot. That's your fault. You got shot. All right?
Yeah, don't die.
Get good. Don't die. Put it in a hangar where it belongs. It's nice and blue. Why are you taking it out with you?
Yep.
It's like a nice car, right? You don't drive a nice car through grummy parts of Birmingham. I mean, you might, but you're an idiot if you do.
Yeah. Makes sense. In a way, it makes sense. But then what? Like, how would you argue the thing that Mike said that everything, like that, these real money purchases should be used in the game and not just sitting in a hangar?
Because I think that's again comes down to the reason why you buy it. You're not forced to buy subscriber items, and if they continue to do what they said they do and make them available in game, then there's no reason to buy them. But things like hangar flair, where in your hangar you can get pissed, or you can look at some fancy photograph or some tree that looks like a face, then that's a nice thing you can do, but it doesn't impact anyone else's gameplay because you can't take those things out of your hangar. They've never said that you can take that bar that you've got in your hangar and put it into your
ship.
Retaliator. Yeah, they've never said you can get pissed for free now because you own a bar in your hangar. It's just been like, oh, you can now go to your hangar and you can get pissed like a Friday night all on your own.
Yeah.
They've never crossed that line. So I don't think it's the same.
That's so funny. Getting pissed in the US is very different than getting pissed in the UK. Because that just means getting mad.
A Saturday night feeling.
Yeah, that's getting mad here. Yeah. That's the opposite there.
And it's pleasant.
Yeah, nice.
We can handle our drink better though. That is why.
True. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to add on this or get anything out?
I mean, I can definitely ramble a lot. I mean, I have a load of feelings about the legalities behind it, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that what Michael was saying about things, but until it's tried and tested, you never know. Like I can read parts of those lawsuits and say, well, actually, because they classified the items that Valve and Destiny and whatever as executable files, it wouldn't be the same. But until someone actually tests the waters, you never know. And it's just a complicated issue. I support the game. I always will support the game. To me, this game is the only. It's why I don't play New World. It's the only MMO I can see myself being bothered enough to play and put time into. Yeah. And at the moment, with 315, honestly, losing my subscriber gear is the smallest complaint I have.
Okay.
So no, I don't have anything else to say.
All right, cool, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No worries. I'll get better soon. Lovely speaking to you, Mike.
All right. Talk to you later, Stewie. All right, and our next caller is Kilgore. Kilgore, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Good, good. So, what would you like to add to the subject of real money purchases in Star Citizen and losing/recovering them?
Well, first of all, I think, as usual with the Star Citizen community, everything gets blown totally out of proportions.
Of course.
And everything is being made a much huger problem than what it really is.
Yep.
And I don't see why people don't have a little bit more confidence in CIG, and they won't find a good solution for this. I mean, there are tons of easy solutions to implement to get around this issue, and that's kind of what I want to add as well to some of the stuff you said in the beginning. I don't think they painted themselves into a corner at all.
Okay.
And I guess we can all have our opinion about the funding model.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if people don't buy ships or whatever, there wouldn't be a game. So, I mean, we should be thankful that some people decide to spend a lot of money on the game.
I would argue also that because people continue to buy ships, that we don't have a game as well. We have a more complex game because of those people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, I agree. But that's a separate issue, really, isn't it?
Sure. Like, I'm super happy we have things like procedural planets and the landscapes that we play games in now and so on and so forth. But I do think that there's certainly problems that come with the funding model as well, and this is one of them. So are you a subscriber? Are you concierge? Just for I guess clarity for everyone listening, perspective on the opinion. Maybe.
I have been a subscriber, but I'm not a subscriber at the moment.
Okay.
So it didn't really bring that much value to me.
Understand.
I think I was a subscriber to get access to PTU at some point, but now I have the permanent access to answer the other part of your question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there are so many easy solutions to this that I don't really see why people make it an issue. The only solution that I totally disagree with is making things skins. I think that's
I don't
very
like
very immersion breaking, and makes a lot of other issues as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned the solution that I would see as the logical solution in the beginning,
okay.
And that would simply be that there's already planned that everything should have wear and tear in the game.
Okay.
So as far as I know. So, and if not, that would be the easy solution to the problem. So every item you use in the game, a gun, armor, undersuit, will wear and tear. And over time it will degrade and you have to replace it. And that goes for bought items as well. So make a store where you go and buy your item once it's worn out, and other people, other players who don't have those items won't then be able to buy them easy. And yeah, so then we have the duping problem. Okay, so if someone loses their item, then they can't buy that item for a certain amount of time. Let's say, for example, 2 weeks, whatever. Yep. So that would prevent them from like buying an infinite amount of those items. And it wouldn't be different than ships, right? Because everyone says you get your ship back automatically, but in theory you do, but not really. You have to go and actively claim it. So it wouldn't be different that you have to go to a shop and buy it. And you also have waiting times to get your ship back. So if you go to a shop and have to buy your whatever item, and you have a waiting time as well, then it's no different really.
Yeah.
And whoever loots the item will be subject to wear and tear. If they decide to put it in their hangar and keep it there forever, then who cares? No one will see it. So the rarity of the item will still remain. But if someone decides to use the item they looted, it will wear and tear, eventually degrade, and eventually they will have to throw it away or whatever.
Okay, can I stop you there before we continue?
Sure.
What of this was a thing I did in previous MMOs that I played was the rares market of sorts. So there is a situation where he loots the item and it's not just going into his hangar. If there ever does happen to be some sort of a marketplace in Star Citizen where, I mean, guys, I'll ask you, Kilgore, but I'm going to post this to Twitch chat and the YouTube viewers as well, and make sure to leave a comment below on this. I imagine there's going to be some sort of a market. Do you guys think there will be? And then market value of items matter in that case as well, right? So whether it's a subscribe for item or whatever, those items may have more in-game value because of their rarity in that case. And if they end up in the in-game market, that does sort of become a duping issue then, right? Still. And I imagine there might be some sort of a market and what their in-game value is. But I think that's a whole nother subject, possibly. I don't know, because like players buying things with real money and then selling them on the market for in-game money.
Yeah, but where's the duping issue? Because only the one who originally bought the item with real money can rebuy that item in the stores in the game. So first of all, they would be limited to how many they can produce, so to speak.
Yep.
And secondly, the item will wear out eventually. So if they would decide to do that, and some would buy it, whatever, if they used a friend to let them loot it off them, and then that friend would sell it, then there will be a limit, first of all, to how many times they can do it in a specific time frame. But also those that buy the item will eventually it will wear out, and there will only be produced the items that the person in question can buy. So
I think that's the most important part of what you say. But at the same time, if 100 people that purchase real money, let's say, let's use the Vandal Mask example. Like, this is essentially the Vandal Mask is 50
nobody
people.
Purchased Vandal Mask, first of all.
Of course, obviously not. Okay, but I'm talking about in terms of rarity. The 50 people line up in a room and get gunned down by a Gladius on a planet. One guy loots all of those items, puts them on the in-game market for what market value was, and then eventually the market value for that item goes down. And then all of those people are able to reclaim that helmet that one time, and then boom, that person's made 50 million credits, let's say.
Okay, so
somebody just mentioned in Twitch chat you can't put them on the in-game market. That would maybe make it interesting, but that also takes away real money. The value of them for in-game money, and having like a rarity market in the game would be something that's really important to me.
Well, that's the second thing of the issue. Okay, so there might be outliers like the Vandal Mask because it's very unique, so to speak. But most of the other items, let's say armors and such, they are really not that good armors in the game. So the only value they have is the.
There are no good armors in the game.
Well, I don't know.
I mentioned it earlier, so let's just make that clear before I let you continue. Heavy armor has all of the same stats all the way through. Light armor, all the same stats all the way through. Medium armor, all the same stats all the way through. The only difference is the hot and cold armors. where the hot armor protects you from heat, the cold armor protects you from cold, but they are heavy armor, so then they have that same tag on them. So it's like 40% damage reduction. That's it. We assume that is going to change. So saying there are no good armors, you don't know that is all I'm trying to mention. Is that we don't actually know the answer to, like, we're not sure about that.
Well, so far CRG has been intelligent, in my opinion, that none of those items that they produced are giving anyone an unfair advantage in any way.
I would agree,
so
100%.
They're purely visual items, and a lot of time, a lot of those subscriber items probably won't even be looted because no one will bother to pick them up because they're frankly not that good and or not that special. They are just visual, and whoever loots the person might not even bother to pick them up because they are not their style or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't really see a huge problem with this in any way.
I love that point.
Plenty of solutions, and like you said, there are other things to consider. And, like your example with gunning down 50 people, there are other things to consider in the game. What are the consequences of being gunned down? I mean, right now they are not that huge, but are you gonna let yourself be gunned down and then need a prosthetic leg or whatever because to loot an armor? I mean, the game has other mechanics as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. But for what we know about medical, you would just be picked back up and your injury would be cured and you'd be done with it.
Well, that's just the current iteration, right?
Well, that's that example I don't think works, but I understand what you're saying. I absolutely understand what you're saying. The example I gave, you would just get down and you get brought up and you might have an injury that wouldn't require any sort of new limbs, from what I understand. New limbs are after the regeneration
it does put a wear
process.
on some background health pool that you have. So, but that's too theoretical. We are discussing imagine now, but
we are,
that there would be a lot of other things in the game that might make it less attractive to do this, to do duping as well.
You would think just the rare items in the game being more valuable would make you, because you only have so much that you could pick up, right? So the certain items that are actually useful, I love the point. Before we move on, I really want to really highlight that point that you made, because I really do agree with it like significantly. The idea of, I don't know, very difficult missions to get a certain gun, certain armor, blah blah blah. You know, full on imagine those things. I imagine would be more valuable than any of the items that they put out. Those would be the things that you would be looking for when looting another player after killing them. Maybe things like ammunition, like good types of ammunition, things like that. You only have so much space in your backpack. So are you going to take some crappy subscriber item that you've seen for the 10th time, or are you going to take the item that you can actually use? You know? Yeah.
Exactly. Who would want to pick up a kitty armor? They sold a ton of them. I mean, just for example. So, I don't really see a huge problem. And as well, with regards to the wear and tear, that's another easy solution, because they could make it so if it's not the rightful owner of the item, they could increase the wear rate. So just that's another thing. You may loot the item and you may use it, but it's wearing out faster than the equivalent item that doesn't have the, let's say, skin or whatever. I'm really opposed to them making it skins.
Same.
I think that's a really stupid solution.
Yeah, I agree. It's just weird and not immersive, and just like having an item and having it transform into something else is just odd to me.
Yeah. So and there are so many other easy solutions to this, and ways to, let's say, discourage players from looting those items or whatever. with what else they said. They probably have a lot of better ideas than what we have. I mean, I think 3.15 is really positive in a lot of ways. It shows that CIG has a good direction, in my opinion, and they have. I'm actually quite. Like, for example, the new inventory, they try to reinvent the wheel with the way you equip your character. But I do believe that some of the changes they made in the last patch, was it the last or whatever, shows that they have some good ideas that they might actually be able to reinvent the wheel and make it work. So why not?
Except
with
the third-person
other stuff?
camera. Ugh, I hate it so
I
much.
agree, but yeah, and I would think it should be a ragdoll instead that you equip, and so you remain in first-person camera. But that's, I mean, they will. I'm pretty sure they will get there. I think that the latest patches overall are really positive development.
Yeah, I agree. I'm super excited for 3.15, and you know, the fact that people are upset is about losing things and all that. I think it just creates a better game environment for everybody. Risk versus reward and all that stuff should be fun.
Yeah, and eventually there will be a novelty like the medical gun with drugging people. I was opposed to them taking that out, but I do understand they did it. Probably, I think they have enough on their table. They have enough on their table with this patch to have to deal with this issue as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they are going in a good direction. I forgot where we were coming from before mentioning the medical gun.
Just in general, that I don't know. I think people need the risk versus reward and losing items.
Was the novelty. That's where we came from. So the novelty will wear off with those subscribers things as well. I mean, I saw a guy in Grim Hex when one of the first patches released. He was in the Grey Cat armor. I spawned a ship. He spawned a ship. He flew off, and I blew him up. And I took his corpse into my Avenger Titan, landed and put it in my hangar. And I don't like the Grey Cat armor. I have no use for it. I have my kit that I make in game, which is significantly better than that. So it stayed in my hangar until I had to recover the account or whatever, or reset the account. Mm-hmm. And I never used it. And that's kind of the point that I want to make. That eventually people will see those items, most of them at least, as any other item in the game. I mean, if I don't like that armor, why would I bother looting it? And why would I bother killing that guy just to get his Grey Cat armor that I have no interest in?
Yeah, for sure.
So eventually all these, if they make it skins I can't loot, then I would be more likely to kill him because I would be pissed off. So actually, I think they have those that don't want to be killed who wear something rare, they might have a more of an interest that it's not becoming skins, because I think a lot of people will be like killing them just for the sake of killing them if they can't get the item just out of spite.
Yeah, sure. But all right, Kilgore, I guess we'll leave it there. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but it did feel like it was about the end.
That was pretty much it from my side.
Okay, so I'm not socially inept. I kind of understood where we were going, and that's there. Thank you, Kilgore. I appreciate it.
For having me.
And I really love the point about that the items might not be that valuable anyway. You know?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, our next caller is Kalis. Kalis, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Not
much. What's up with you?
Not much. Just enjoying 3.15 like everybody else.
Yeah, buddy. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm trying not to play it that much.
Same. I wanna feel that Zero to Hero or whatever else plans that's going on whenever it comes out.
Yeah. I think the big thing that I'm trying to figure out now is like, all right, everything has been wiped. So what do you do now? Like, how do you start? That is
Yeah, it's a different feeling, definitely.
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, I am listening to you. I'm just gonna go turn my fan on because it's really warm in here. What do you feel like? What do you, if you can respond to anybody who said anything, or what? What are your feelings on the subject?
Basically, I feel sort of the same way as Kilgore. I believe that the current system right now is not like you're paying for an item basically to be unique. It's pay to be unique at this time.
Yeah.
And you get that sense of uniqueness purely because you think that that skin is not lootable or earnable by anybody by any other means other than, you know, just paying for it.
Yeah, I had this so I could show off that I paid for it, essentially, which is pretty, I don't know, that's pretty toxic in and of itself.
Yeah, I think it's basically just a shortcut to get to those items, just the same way as ships. Like, you can purchase however many Avenger Titans or Nomads or whatever other ship that's not the base starter ship, but it's only a shortcut, right?
Yeah.
You can get those ships in game. I don't think it makes any difference whether or not you pay for it or not later on in the future.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the idea of what I mentioned, where the items that you pay for on the store should just be earnable in game as well, and then it kind of takes that real money value away from them, and the only value that has for a player to spend real money on it is that you just don't have the time to earn it, and it takes away from its in-game value. And I think that's the right way to go, because it shouldn't have in-game value because it can be purchased with real money only. It should have in-game value because it's difficult to earn or whatever.
Right,
maybe.
right.
But
yeah,
then there's the thing where like
that.
people are just skipping the way to earn it. But as long as the items aren't that good and useful, like what Kilgore was talking about, then I think there's a good balance there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. I think that those items should be found or earned in some type of way through gameplay mechanics, obviously. But I think that you can easily offset that with like the reputation system, like say for instance like bearing or something. We've already heard that they can do rep for all the way down to small NPCs if they really wanted to. Like say for instance you do you have like a partnership or whatever, like, you know, highest rep level of bearing, and they say, hey, you know what, since we like you so much here, you know what, we got a special skin for you that you can get. Or if it's the same one that you already have, they just say, hey, if you ever lose it, you can RMA it, you can get it back. Just know that if you lose it, though, you know, we want a police report, we want all these other things. If you lose it, we want like money from you to pay for it. Like, it has to be like in a way where it can't be duped easily.
Yeah.
You know, like it has to have time. So like if there are other weapons out there, like they degrade or whatever, like the paint falls off, but you can't get that back because you don't have the standing with the company to get that back.
Sure. I mean,
like make
people
it use in game.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No. Go ahead. I was just saying, just use gameplay as a way to, you know, get around that. There's plenty of things they can do to fix that.
Sure. People are saying in Twitch chat, Mike is still ignoring the value of looting that shit just to piss people off. Here's the thing. If it's earnable in-game and it's purchasable on the website and it's not that good of an item, then... like, it's not like a meta item or anything, right? Like, we hope CIG wouldn't sell something that would give that big of an advantage. Then you don't know if it was purchased on the website, and you're not looting them just to piss them off. Now, I still think, like, if I see a gold armor, I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it in my ship, and then I'm going to fly as close as possible to the star. I'm going to open my cargo hold, and I'm going to throw it into the star, and then I'm going to leave. But at the same time, like, I'm just an asshole, and I don't know. Like, I do feel like there should be ways to earn those things back, but as long as those items are earnable in game, there always will be. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to pay to skip, that is the disadvantage that you get. Like, a player who has to earn the items in game has the disadvantage of having to take the time. The player who paid the money for it, the disadvantage is if you lose it, you have to buy it again. Like, the player, if you lose it, you have to earn it again. Like, I don't understand what the problem here is. Both have equal positives and equal negatives.
Yep. I kind of thought about this before, but like, you know how Tarkov has the other editions, like the EOD edition of it, and it comes with like special guns and stuff. Obviously, you can get those in game as well, but like, what if they weren't? Like, what if you were to lost those too? Like, there's only the insurance crate. Like, if you put stuff in there, it doesn't go away. You know, like the smaller things. Like, what happens then? Like, do people complain to Tarkov about that?
Yeah.
It's like, everything's lootable in game. It's already available. You're just paying for a shortcut to get it because, you know, you have the money to do that type of thing.
Yeah. Why would I buy a $15 helmet for it just to be lost and never returned? Because you don't want to earn it in game. That would be the only reason. That should be the only reason. Like, we have to sit here, guys, and we have to think, why would I be buying the $15 helmet in the first place? So I think this is where we have to stop just a second, and I'll take some time from your call, Kalis. I'm sorry. Well, I won't take it from your call. We'll just extend your call. The idea of, are you buying it for cosmetic reasons? That's one. Are you buying it to get an advantage? Are you buying it to skip gameplay? Why are you buying it? Right? And right now, I feel like the only reason to buy anything is for cosmetic purposes. So for the just cosmetic items, I mean, should they be that difficult to find? I don't know. Right? Ships, people are absolutely buying to get an advantage. So there's a lot of reasons why people are buying them, but just because you spent real money on something doesn't mean that you're above the rules of the game. Now, there's obviously the legal implications that we talked about earlier, but I don't like the idea of, because you're able to purchase for real money, now people who want to enjoy the game are being negatively affected by you. And I understand why there's animosity towards players that stand on the side of, well, I paid for it for real money, therefore, fuck you. Well, well, fuck you. That's what I think. Because I think in a way, you're making the game worse. So,
right.
Rant over. I'm sorry. It's not F you to anybody. Again,
No
I said I don't think we should be really going after each other, but I think what we need to understand is that if you're wanting the advantage in just your direction because you spent real money on the game, you have to understand how that affects everybody that plays the game. If you're just telling everybody to get good and don't die, you have to understand how that affects Johnny Two Jobs that doesn't have the time to get good and doesn't have the time necessarily to do get the highest rep for bearing or something. So, all right, go ahead, Kalis. I'm sorry.
No, it's no problem. It's I feel the same way. It's a situation where I feel like I'm sure CIG will have some type of strange plan that maybe nobody thought of, or maybe people did think of, and they just mix all those ideas together, and we get something where it can benefit both groups. You can buy it in game, but it's not duplicatable. You can buy it or get rep or whatever reason that they allow us to get those items back if they want to. But I still feel that it's like a pay to be unique shortcut. That's kind of how I feel about it, because I'm a subscriber as well. I have plenty of stupid stuff in my hangar right now, and every time I spawn at a spaceport, I just look at all of it and I don't even use it anyways. So even though it's there, I'm like, I want to be unique and use this armor. Like, a whole bunch of other people have the armor too. It's not that unique.
It's not unique.
Even if like, say for instance, like maybe like the Xenothreat stuff, like the amount of people who actually got to the highest tier of rep probably isn't that large compared to the amount of people who would have probably just bought it anyways if it was subscriber gear. Yeah. Like, the stuff in game is probably more rare than the stuff that's already subscriber based. It's a weird type thing, but I think the in-game stuff is a lot more unique.
I think it will be too. And then the idea of we're talking about a lot of the armor and paid for stuff is just painted items that we already have in the game. And I can't imagine that when orgs become a thing and you're going, like, I imagine we're going to have our own liveries. So these subscriber items, I just don't see them having value. I really do see something like the Mandalorian helmet, the what's that leather helmet that we have now? Some of those things that are absolutely unique and were made specifically for subscribers. Those are interesting in the fact of, are they going to be available or not to players? Like, I hope you're right and that it's just pay to be unique. But I hope that there's a way to grind to be unique as well. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think that can be solved with the reputation system. If they go the route that they say they can, I think it would just be like, hey, you got the, what is it called? The Tarkatov or something like that? The Mandalorian helmet looking thing.
Yeah.
Like, you might just get a rep with them if you, like, you know, you get missions with different manufacturers or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like they could probably still make it unique where it's, unique enough to where it's earnable in-game and if you paid for it, but it's just really hard to get there.
Yeah. Exactly. And I don't think maybe it shouldn't be really hard to get there. I feel like we should, if, like, now that we've talked to a lot of people, like, I'm starting to formulate my opinion a little bit differently and in a new way. And earnable in game, if it's just cosmetic, the more I think about it is like, how far should we have to go to earn those things? Earnable in game, if it's useful. Let's say a really good shield or a really good gun or a badass helmet that is really good, that isn't just cosmetic value. Now we're talking there should be a grind there, and it should not be purchasable on the website. You know, I think that's what the Vandal Mask should have represented, but there was a little oversight in how to earn it. But that's really what the Vandal Mask could have been. Was, it doesn't have value as far as usefulness in the game, but it was like this hard grind, and you couldn't buy it on the website. It was literally the first item in game that you couldn't buy on the website.
Yep.
You know, it's crazy.
And I feel like they can do a ton of those items too. And those actually have their rare value as well for only in-game stuff, and you can't buy that.
Yeah. I wonder what that, like, because, you know, how many people were playing at the time, and I wonder what the value of that mask will be 10 years from now if the game ever was a thing, you know?
200 million AUEC.
Yeah,
you know?
Might just be.
90 jump.
Yeah, $500 on eBay, dude. Poggers. So, yeah, who knows? But, yeah, the more I formulate my opinion, the more I think subscriber items should be, they can be unique, but they shouldn't be useful also. They should be pay to look cool, pay to be unique, but not pay to be a badass. So if that's the case, then the value of them is only there. And then I do get where some people were saying in Twitch chat, looting players just to be an asshole will be a thing, but I don't know. You can't make everyone happy.
Yeah. Well, we can only see what the future holds anyways. We have to just believe or just feel out whatever CIG has in plan.
100%. Yeah. Just chilling. See where it goes. And I think that's kind of what Kilgore was saying too before, was we just need to have a little bit more faith in these guys and let the thing play out. The problem is Spectrum.
Spectrum. Yeah, most definitely. I think we help out sort of, but I mean, it's whatever CIG comes up with and whatever backlash comes out from, you know, Reddit or Spectrum. I mean, they look at that type of stuff, you know. They adjust sometimes. So, sure. I mean, we'll just see.
We'll see. Is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about?
No. That's pretty much all I got. Pay to be unique that's my thoughts, and that's about it.
I think you were making a real good point there. So, thank you, Kalis.
Yep, no problem.
I appreciate it, man. Bye-bye now. Our next caller is Henrik, which I literally remembered that I forgot something for you, Henrik, so I'm going to circle it on my list of things to do. Big time.
Let us just jump right into it, because I have two ways to not fix the problem, but a solution for the problem.
Okay.
One is making the
no laws, no eco laws, right?
Oh, why not? No.
Okay.
But I was thinking about why not instead of using the store system, we are using the crafting system. Simply giving the subscriber blueprints. When you buy it from the website, you're also getting the blueprint. Why can I not say that word?
Blueprint.
Blueprint. Yeah. For making the item afterwards. So yes, you can lose it, but you can also make it with these materials you need to get them.
And maybe you got to kind of earn those materials a little bit, and maybe they aren't that easy to find. Maybe they're a little bit expensive, but you don't lose the item at least. I think that's the I think that's a pretty darn good solution in terms of a middle ground from the, well, you're screwed, you lose it, to the, well, it's a skin, so you just apply it to any helmet and you're good.
Also, it also for me it breaks the immersion that hey, he can buy this item from here, but I cannot. Why?
Yeah, it's on display. Why can't I have it? Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that also fixes that little immersion breaking, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's still a deal.
Somebody in chat said, do they plan on implementing a crafting system? They mentioned recently, you know, the Chris Roberts is alive video, that weird thing with Sandy, that Valheim type crafting was mentioned. So
yeah,
who knows? But it sounds like possibly.
But they also have talked about blueprints before with the outpost, and that we know is craftable.
Like crafting outposts with your Pioneer or whatever.
Yeah, and also what is those outposts for? But if not for refining material, crafting materials, and so forth.
They are a meetup spot for your 890 jump meetups and your you know, your whale watching. That's what they're for, Henrik. Come on, get with the program here. This is a game development experience. It's not a game. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting solution to a problem like this.
The other solution I could also that also would work in conjunction with this one is you're putting out a bounty for the item, so the item has some unique ID. You can check for it, and the way the lawful station will just take the item if you land there and say, nope, that is not your item. We are taking that. There is a bounty for it. And that's it all for the outlaws. May not be more nuanced, where they maybe say, you can have the item, but you have to pay us a fee for us not taking it from you and sending it for the bounty.
Yeah.
Instead. Yeah.
But what if they're in Pyro?
Pyro, same. If there is a bounty for it, why wouldn't the controlling faction not take the item from you at the station? Because they have a higher bounty. Because you're not paying them enough for storing the item.
Okay. That's another interesting one.
So yeah, you can have it. You can store the item and save for the from the subscriber, but you're gonna pay, and this higher he set the bounty, this more you have to pay for it.
I like it. I think Henrik has the.
It's the same with ships with a special name. Yep. You can store your ship here, but you have to pay for it.
Yep. Yeah. Do you hear a Danish caller? Yes, he is a Dane. Yeah, I like those ideas, Henrik. I like to the point where I don't think we need to even elaborate on them.
No.
It's like pretty strong with not a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
To try and like me to poke and prod and be like, well, what about that, Henrik, huh? It doesn't. Yeah, there's really not that much. I don't see too many gaps in this. And them working together are kind of would be interesting.
Yeah. So you can either remake the item and it gets worth less, or you can you can try to get it back from putting a bounty on it.
Yeah.
And the bounty, and if they put it on the outpost, the bounty hunters could get out and find it.
Yeah.
Like the mission we saw at a CitizenCon.
Yep, I can imagine pulling out your multi-tool with a scanner attachment, which is not something that exists right now, but let's imagine that it does, yeah. And you scan the item, and the item has a bounty of X amount of gold in this system, and there you go. Like, that, if that is not a, like, Eureka type moment that you have in a video game, like, holy crap, this guy put a $10 million bounty on this helmet! What? So you get it, and then you bring it back, and you paid the 10 million, but you got your helmet back or whatever, you know?
Yep.
Dude, that's sick.
That will really be sick if they implement it. And it shouldn't be that hard for implementing it. Also, they doesn't need to handle the insurance that much.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Interesting, man. That's crazy. I think your call was so good that there were two more people in line. One of them left. I think he's you said what he was gonna say, so that's pretty good, man. Yeah. But Henrik, dude, is there anything else you want to add to this or go anywhere?
No, I don't think I have. I think I popped the bomb I needed.
Yeah, thank you, dude. We'll talk to you soon, Henrik.
Yeah, talk to you later.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, and our last caller, who was going to be our second to last caller, was Meyer. So, Meyer, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I really like Henrik's solutions there.
Yeah, I was listening, and well, I have a couple of I guess if we're going to be offering solutions to the whole like situation.
Sure.
So on top of what Henrik said, they did talk about in I think it was either an ISC or an SCL about reputation. They did talk about like the possibility of being a subscriber, like ticking off like a reputation role sometime down the line, and that will allow you to basically
heebies though.
Right, but I mean, like, but hear me out. So, as a subscriber in game, you now have like, let's say, whatever they call like Voyager Direct or Pledge Store or whatever they want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. You now have reputation level 1 or 2 based on your sub level, and now, excuse me, I just like almost died. And now, you I did mute, right, when I sneezed?
No.
Oh, God.
I got hit with it.
Oh, no. My entire house has COVID right now. But yeah, anyway. So, like, if you have, like, either of those two roles, then you go to, like, Voyager Direct somewhere in ArcCorp, right? And you can now go into the store and either buy or repurchase your sub flare.
Sure.
But the issue with that, though, is that, and my main issue with all this is that being able to have your cosmetics snatched in the first place devalues them. And if it's snatchable, then why would you spend $15 in the first place on the Aves helmet? You know, like the Teverin-looking helmet. Why would you do that?
Did you hear me earlier when I mentioned the biggest issue with this is that people purchased or subscribed and got those items, not necessarily knowing that this might be the thing. They never said that you will keep it forever, because we look back at the FAQ, but they also didn't imply that it would be fully lootable. So there's a little bit of a, issue there where if you do purchase it, it should be known that, like, hey, you purchased this item, it will be fully lootable in the game, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of disingenuous. I mean, like, it's not, it's... Sorry, you're honey dicking them basically. Like it's
what
like
is honey dicking?
It's like a honey pot, but you're getting dicked. But anyway, like, but yeah. So like Xylo, I think not too long ago said that like there were plans for in-game items that you get, like let's say the Vandal helmet or like the Scarecrow helmet and that kind of stuff. You said that there were plans for you to be able to gift them to other players. That was like the whole, why should I go to Jump Town this year, right?
Yeah.
And Zylo was like, well, because you can give it to somebody else. So it sounds like there are plans for being able to give these sub items and account bound items to players in game in a, I don't know. I mean, the way he made it sounded like a kind of permanent kind of thing, you know, as opposed to like, you know, just you hold on to this for me, you now have it on you until you die and then I get it back, right?
Okay. I'll pose this question to you. This is clearly for release only, because I think we need account bound items before release. Post release, should there be account bound items at all?
Should there be account bound items at all? I mean, in a perfect world, no, but at the same time, because they exist, because there are things like, you know, the anniversary rewards and stuff like that, I think that they are cool as an idea and a concept, but it's then about like putting, you know, like money values behind them and that kind of thing that kind of screws things up. And here's the thing, right? The biggest issue is that over the years, there have been sources, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to throw any of these guys under the bus, from CIG, right?
Yeah, of course.
In non-executive positions, saying how real money transactions for items are going to work. Saying that, oh, because you've paid money for this thing, you will never lose it ever. How could that be possible? They've said that, like in official capacity on forums, and they're not executives. They're just, you know, like I don't know what I'm, you know, not community managers, but like just
they're honey
developers,
dickers.
Right?
Yeah, they're just honey dickers, man.
Right. But that's really dangerous territory, because then you have people who are like, you know, going to go ahead and, you know, use that as evidence as, hey, they've said this before. I mean, how could they, you know, like backtrack on this? But at the same time, just because like looking at the person who said this and then knowing where they are within CIG, you're like, how could they possibly say this when this has not been officially been like, you know, been said?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a clear, I don't know, I really do feel that they've put themselves in a bit of a corner here where it's like, what do? You know, funding the game is very important, but funding the game in this way where it's going to detriment the development of the game or create more work and detriment the actual way the game plays out. I mean, it sucks, man. Yeah, nobody's going to be happy with the solution of this. I like Henrik's idea though. I'm not going to lie.
The bounty thing was kind of cool. I agree.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief that someone's really going to put a bounty on some stupid WoW Blast pistol from Sakura Sun that's going to cost like 5 UEC. You know, my special limited edition plastic gun has a bounty on it. I mean, like, I know, but if they've said, right, that like you'll be able to steal ships and take them to these breaker yards that already exist in the game to kind of get the IDs scrubbed off, then why wouldn't you be able to do the same thing for items like that?
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like the crafting one the best.
Yeah, yeah. But again, my point goes back to like, you know, if your items are like account bound or bought or whatever, right? And you've spent real life money on it, regardless of how much money it is, different people have, you know, different economic, like, you know, disposable income or whatever. The thing is the second that somebody else is able to take that from you, that like completely devalues what the thing you bought, right? Sure. I mean, like now something that, yeah, sure. Okay. I've spent $50 on this thing. To me, $50 is a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, to go into game and then lose your $50 item. Okay. I would have maybe spent $5 on it knowing that it could be lost, right? Like the entire thing gets turned on its head. But I do think that if you can get your items back, right? And which I think you probably should do, just because let's say you have the item, and then somebody else is going to kill you for that item and take it from you. And now they have it. And then because, you know, oh, I bought the item, I get it back at some point. I do feel like in order to make it so that these items aren't devalued too much, they should probably bring in something similar to the melt tokens system into this. Well, you know, like how if you have a ship in Star Citizen, you can turn it into like just
store
money,
credit,
right? Yeah, store credit, right? But you can only do that a limited amount of times, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like with these,
wait, you can only do it a limited amount of times?
I think it's yeah, I believe so. It's either I think you either can only melt a limited amount of times or bring back a ship you had previously a limited amount of times. It's one of the two. But essentially, what I'm thinking here is that, let's say I have this item. Let's use the Overlord's helmet as like for sake of argument, right?
Okay.
Yeah, buyback tokens, they're called. Yeah,
they're saying
so
once per item. I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So you have the Overlord helmet, for sake of argument, and I'm wearing it and I get killed, somebody takes it from me. Now they have it. Okay, I'm sad. I've lost my sub item, but I can get it back.
Yeah.
Now I feel like if CIG was to say, okay, you can get that item back, but you can only do it once a month or once every 2 months, or like maybe you have 5 tokens for a set period, then at the very least you will be maintaining the scarcity of that item. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is what you said before about conga lining for the thing and just completely devaluing the whole point of going to the store and buying the item in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, yeah, I'm seeing in chat people saying, certain sub items and stuff can be found in loot bunker. Yes, in the PTU.
I'm not convinced that is supposed to be a thing.
No,
I am convinced somebody screwed up.
I mean, again, it's just
I'm
the
just
PTU.
trying to get clarification that that's the case, because they literally said that some items are showing up there that are not supposed to be. I would imagine subscriber items would be those things, guys.
Yeah.
CIG does not want to sell things that you can just find in a box because they're CIG.
People really, really need to stop using the PTU as kind of like a gospel for what's happening in live, because it's almost never the case. Every single time the PTU gets released in Wave 1, something happens, something is out, and people use this as gospel for how the game is going to be destroyed. And it's almost always not the case.
Yep.
But yeah, just a pet peeve, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah. But for me, cosmetics are endgame. They are. Even if like let's use Final Fantasy as an example.
Okay.
Like in Final Fantasy 14, like the items that command the biggest amounts of money are items that don't even have like any stats whatsoever.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I do think that within Star Citizen, having these items be like just store-bought or whatever is kind of sad.
Yeah. The items in Ultima Online that were the most valuable were like really, really old holiday rewards, or really, really old event items, things like that. Those were never things that you could purchase or anything.
Yeah. In fact, 14 does this. Yeah. So what they do is that, like, I think every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, they have these like seasonal quests or whatever. Yep. And in that quest, they release like a mount, or they release an emote or something, and you have to work to get it. You have to do a quest line or whatever, and you get the item, you get the mount, you get the gear or whatever, and it's yours. And then for an entire year, the people who play the game to play the game, right, like can earn this thing and say, oh, I have the prestige of this. And then a year later, then you have like the FOMO Freddies coming in and just buying the item, and then they have it too, right? So that way you kind of appease both things. But
wait, how do you buy it? A year later, they put it for sale on their store?
Yeah, for money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a way better solution than FOMO Freddy being able to buy it before the player can earn it in the game.
Exactly. I feel like CIG have it wrong.
Yeah, they're flipped.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Today we had FOMO Freddy, we had No Job Timmy, and we had 2 jobs Tommy or something. 2 job Johnny. So yeah,
Andy's
all
back
sorts
on
of
Twitch, so we have to use different words now.
Who's back on Twitch?
Andy.
How they Mexican
always,
Andy. Yeah,
Andy's back. Yeah. So like that's the origin of the term. So we have to use other names now.
Yeah, it's true. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know where else to go, to be honest. I think we've kind of hammered it. And in no way have we mentioned necessarily the solutions that they have provided so far as being the best. I think everyone on both sides can agree that so far the solutions that they've shared with us just don't seem too ideal. So
It doesn't even sound like they have solutions. They really, really do shy away from long-term like anything.
Them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've just had like a brief discussion, and this is what happens all the time with this shit. Is they have a brief discussion about it in a meeting 2 weeks ago, and then they share what they talked about in that discussion on the show, but nothing was ever set in stone in the first place.
Right.
And they end up just looking stupid.
Just look at insurance. But yeah, whatever they come up with, you know, like I'm sure I'm gonna be upset about it anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, one of us will be.
We have to wait and see. Exactly.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But all right, Meyer. For those of you guys that don't know, Meyer streams on twitch.tv/Meyer, youtube.com as well for YouTube videos where we watched it recently. Your I call them your lore videos, but they're basically audiobooks for Star Citizen lore that's posted, but they're highly produced and are really, really good. So if you haven't checked them out, you should do so.
Thank you.
No problem, man. Appreciate it. Stewie also streams on Twitch, so you guys should check out Stewie Meister as well. And has made he makes YouTube videos too. Actually, I've seen some like commentary type YouTube videos about Star Citizen from Stewie, and I don't know if I missed anyone else. Maybe Kalis does too. I don't know. I don't watch that much Star Citizen content, so I'm at a loss for who does. But all right, Meyer, I guess we'll leave it there.
All right.
Thanks, my man. Look forward to one day seeing you in person soon.
Soon. See you, man.
CitizenCon next year. Let's hope. Cross your fingers. Later, my man. All right, guys. That is Answer the Call. Problems with real money purchases in Star Citizen. I think we had a lot of cool discussions there. Some holes in some people's things, specifically mine. Some Henrik's was pretty good with very few holes, but I think Meyer exposed one there at the end, maybe a little bit. And we'll have to see what CIG comes up with. And I agree with Kilgore on that one the most is we do have to have some faith in them. They do make it really hard to have faith in them, though, you know, but I think we do have to give them a chance there and see where they go. And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on Twitch and you didn't catch the whole episode, it will be up on YouTube later today. If you're watching on YouTube, you can take part in Answer the Calls. Sundays around 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Stop by and say hello. Join our Discord, discord.gg/SaltEMike, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, and if you're watching on Twitch, youtube.com/SaltEMike. I created a new YouTube channel called SaltEMike 2, then like number 2 spelled out, where I post reaction videos and things like that. I think I'll have a couple videos come up today, tonight, tomorrow, and throughout the rest of the week. So we'll kind of check those things out. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Bye-bye now. Follow on Twitch if you haven't yet, too.